Hello, my name is Chuck Lowenstein, and I'd like to welcome you to this Kaplan Financial Education presentation of the Series 63 Exam Training Program. We are pleased that you have elected not to gamble with your future by choosing Kaplan to be your training provider. As a way of introduction, just a little bit about me. I have been involved in training applicants for securities licensing exams since 1967, before many of you watching this were born. In my career, I have been the Vice President of Sales for the broker-dealer subsidiary of a major life insurance company, and I owned my own training school for 28 years. I am one of the original 4 life members of the Financial Planning Association. But most important to you is the fact that the previous iteration of this program has, over a period of almost 2 years, generated a first-time pass ratio in excess of 90% with corporate clients that follow our study program. So, if you would like to join the tens of thousands who have been successful, follow the program the way I describe it, and you too will be another Kaplan success story. What is the goal of this course? Well, let me go over here to the board. G-O-A-L. If you don't have goals, you're not going to reach them. And we have a goal here. It's a very singular goal. It's a very pointed goal. You know what it is? Pass the Series 63 exam. And pass it on your first attempt. That's the ideal goal. And as we go towards that goal, I want you to understand that that's my focus as well. Everything I'm going to do in this course is trying to get you to that goal. I'm not here to teach you how to be a better securities agent. I'm not here to teach you how to sell more, how to do better. I'm here to teach you one thing. That's to get through the exam, because that's our goal. And because of that, I'm going to put something else up on the board, because there's something else that you should be familiar with. I'm drawing a circle here. And then I'm going to draw another circle. Now, these two circles pretty much overlap. If I was a real good artist, I'd be able to make them overlap a little better, but I want to give titles to these circles. This is the test world. And this is the real world. Now, for the most part, everything that I'm going to be discussing for the next number of hours is going to be the same in the real world and the test world. But some of you out there have got some experience. You've got a license and you've done some business. And you're going to hear me say some things and say, hey, we don't do it that way in my company. Are we doing something wrong? Or is Chuck saying something wrong? Neither one of those. You see, not everything that happens in the real world is the way the test writes things. And our only concern, because we have this goal, is to do things the way the test does them. So if you hear me say something that disagrees with something you know that you do every day in your business, don't stop what you're doing in your business, but just put it aside and remember that we're here to pass the exam. Now, in order to be successful in the course, there are 3 things that you should have available. The first of them is the LEM, the License Exam Manual. We call it the LEM because it saves a lot of time, and that's this book of approximately 200 pages. Then we have the spiral-bound book called the Class Notes book. And the Class Notes book has got every single slide that you're going to see in this presentation, and I'm going to have it in front of me because I want to make sure that I cover everything I'm supposed to, and that keeps me on track as well. And the third thing you should have is something to write with, because as we go through this, you are going to see, you're going to hear, and you're going to touch the paper as you write. You're going to be using all of your senses. This is a multi-sensory experience for you, and science has proven that to be a much better way to learn. See, another reason you want to have something to write with is because as I go through, I'm going to emphasize certain points. And when you hear that emphasis in my voice, you're going to know that, hey, that's something I better take care of. Or in many cases, I will give you an example of how it appears on the exam. And when it appears on the exam that way, I think you might want to write down, here we go, check that off for the exam. See, one of the beauties of this program is your ability to pause, go back, go forward. You've got 24/7 access, and you can review over and over. You can do this however many times you want. Now that's important because I know from doing this as long as I have that no matter how clear I try and make something, you're not going to grasp it the first time. And you know what you can do? You can sit there and hit your pause on your computer and then go into the LEM and you can read about it. And maybe that will help you. Okay? You know what this exam is called? The legal title of this is the Uniform Securities Agent State Law Exam. The shortest word in the title is the word law. And you know why? Because it's about nothing but the laws. It's not about what's a stock, what's a bond, what's a mutual fund. It's about the laws that you need to know to become an agent under the state laws. So like anything legal, every word is critical. You got to dot all the T's, cross all the I's. It's all critical. And you know, there's a test-taking technique that's very famous called RTFQ. Read the full question. Boy, you got to do it on this test. Because if you don't read it, you're going to miss a not. You're going to miss an except. You're going to miss something and blow the question, even though you knew what the material was. So be real careful. This test has 65 questions, 75-minute test limit. Therefore, with 75 minutes of time, and you've got 65 questions, put it on your calculator. It's just a little over a minute a question. That's not a lot of time. Not at all. And passing is 72%, which is 43 correct. And already I can imagine some of you going 72% of 65. That's more than 43. Yeah, you know why? Because only 60 of the questions are scored. See, 5 of them are experimental and they don't count. The reason why we got experimental questions is not from us. NASA is always adding to the bank, but before they add a new question, they want to put it out there for a couple months to see how people do, because if everybody's getting it right, it's too easy. If everybody's getting it wrong, oh, it's too hard. And even though we want them to fail, we can't make it that hard. So they're experimental questions. They don't count. But you don't know which ones they are. So every one of those 65, you've got to attack each one as if that's the one that's going to get you your passing grade. Because it's the 72% of the 60, which for NASA purposes is 43 correct. However, even though I want you to attack every question, you got to be a smart test taker. With only a minute and change per question, you can't afford to get hung up on the toughies. That means when you get to a question where you start reading and say, wait a minute, this is something I never understood. I've gone over, I just never got these questions right. I just don't know this. Or, I don't recall ever hearing about this. Skip it. Come back. Because in most cases, the last 5 questions on the exam are among the easiest questions you'll have. And one of the worst things that can happen to you, there's a little clock on there, and when you've got 5 minutes to go, it shows up on the screen, hey, 5 minutes to go, and it says 5 minutes, you still got 10 questions to do. What happens? You panic, and you rush, and you miss questions you should have gotten correct. So if you get one that's a toughie, don't waste time, skip it, come back to it later, because one of several things is going to happen. You come back to it, and something in an earlier question keyed you, oh, now I know what this is. 2, you still got no idea what it is, and you have to guess. 3, you ran out of time, and you wouldn't have gotten it right anyway. So big deal. You got the ones you could get right. Okay? Important test taking.